All right, Jeremy Knight, your favorite REALMigos host. We are back in action. It has been too long. I apologize for the delay. I've been out of town, so it's been hard to coordinate. This market's been insane. To the two gentlemen with me here, how are you doing today?
Wonderful. Jeremy, your hair looks great, by the way. I like it. Looks nice.
Thank you. Fresh dew.
Looks nice and
thank you.
Nice and fresh.
Speaking of fresh, let's see the mullet.
It's flowing free. Do you see this?
Yeah.
I mean, it's getting to be on another level, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that thing needs its own zip code now.
It's actually it's almost ponytail status.
It is. Ian. Oh wait, I forgot. My bad. We're all doing shades. Sorry. Let's see. Can Sarah, can we finally hear you?
Yes. And I can hear you.
Oh, listen to that microphone.
Nice.
Crystal clear quality.
In honor of Sarah wearing her indoor glasses, we all decided to wear sunglasses to join her. Sarah Morris, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm happy to be back.
Awesome. It's been a while since we've had our fourth Migo here to talk about all the fun and lending stuff in the market. So here's a floor plan today. Floor plan. God, I'm more retarded. All right. So here's a floor plan today. We are going to talk about some pressing business, and then we are going to go through and chat about the market. Obviously, on my channel today, I posted the new July numbers that just came out. So that has been, I know there's going to be a lot of people screaming crash from that. And getting worried that the market's crashing. So we'll go through those numbers and chat about that. We'll talk about interest rates and all that fun stuff with Sarah. So make sure as we go through, you add in the comments your questions for Sarah about mortgages and all that fun stuff. I actually text her today, hey, what's interest rates for investors? Just so I know. So we got her. And then we're going to go through and talk about new neighborhoods. So don't be afraid to shout down and put in your new neighborhoods or ask questions about new neighborhoods. Jaden is on. Jaden just moved into a new house. Boom. Nice. Hi, Jaden.
Congrats, Jaden.
Yeah. All right. First off, how are you all doing? I know I started with that, but
good. Ian, your mic's not picking up your good mic.
Yeah.
What?
It doesn't look powered on like it normally is.
I gotta hear that deep, sexy voice.
Yeah.
Ooh. That's like a late night radio voice.
I can't believe it. Can you hear it?
I actually got a voice changer, but it's not working apparently.
All right, cool. All right. So before we get into too much, I do have a little bit of sad news. And I don't normally ask the subscribers for much. I really, if you look at my channel, the video I posted on Tuesday was about new builds, and a lot of people thank me and ask questions about new builds and builders to work with. And, all that was kind of free advice. So I don't ever ask for much. We had with our brokerage yesterday, Jason Harriman passed away. With our brokerage, 34 years old. He's got 2 young boys and a wife. So there's a GoFundMe up for him. I'll put it in the comments here in a minute. So if you wouldn't mind donating, if you are going to, I don't know, I don't ever ask for people to put in the super chats or anything like that. So if you feel compelled to jump in and put money in the super chat, I am donating every single penny from today's super chats to Jason and his wife. I've already donated personally, but I just appreciate if anybody that feels willing to do that. I mean, just a really sad situation, and I just feel really bad for his kids. So hate to start out on a sour note, but if you do super chat today, that's where it's going. All right. Okay. The market. How's the market been for everybody the last 2 months? Let's talk about the last month. Ian, how's it been for July for you?
I'll say it this way. There are people that are coming back and asking the question, can I get a house now? And the answer is there are a lot more houses that have been sitting there for 5 days, 15 days. I saw one earlier for 46 days. I was like, what is going on with this? What's interesting is when you talk to the agents, of course they have 2 offers in hand. It's like it's been on the market for forever. And I've even lost a couple offers going 25,000 over, thinking that I was doing something right. It was like the market slowed down a little bit, and we ended up losing. We lost the cash. So that's really something that you can't change. So I would say that, in my opinion and in my experience, this last couple of weeks has been it's been a little slower than it was in, let's say, March to May.
Mhm.
Real quick, everybody that's donating the super chat, thank you. It's pretty awesome. I really appreciate it. Kevin, go ahead, man.
Yeah. You know, same thing. I think Ian's saying, we saw this come up a lot in the last, couple of weeks, even before, like, I think the last time we all went and spoke about this, we kind of felt like it was slowing down a little bit, but not in a bad way, in a normal way, which, back to some seasonality. I think July is seasonal regardless. And if you combine that, I think, with a lot of buyer fatigue, think about it. If you started looking for a house in February or March and you hadn't bought one by June, you're probably going to take a step away from it. And I think a lot of people did that. Of course, May was when things opened up with, mask mandate. So I think a lot of people got out of the country. I mean, I won't get into all the reasons why, but, obviously it was slower. But my leads and sphere and clients coming back into the fray has picked up in definitely the last week, but for sure the last 2 weeks, where they're getting back into it, ready to write offers. And I did write some offers over the weekend. I actually have new buyers into the mix as well. So it's not just buyer fatigue. So I think it's coming back again.
Yeah, I would say that I have a lot of. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. I said Sarah, but I had muted myself. So sorry about that.
I would say that I would agree that the slowness, the little bit of slow that we saw was normal. It's the normal, break that we see at this time of year. I agree with Kevin that, with the mask mandate lifted, a lot of people decided to take a break and travel and get away for a little bit. And then also with school about to start, a lot of people went with their families and their kids, and they just left before they wanted to get started in shopping again. I know on my end that we saw a little downtick with people with new contracts and uptick in refis because we had a little reprieve in rates, and rates started getting a little bit better for refis again. So I do agree that it was normal, and it's not this big, oh, there's a crash coming near, because that just doesn't make any sense in any way, because there's way more demand than there's supply. So a crash just still doesn't make any sense to me at all.
So again, everybody that's donating in the chat, sorry to keep going back to this, but thank you so much. I really, really do appreciate it. I know Jason's family is going to appreciate it. So and I do want to keep going through the video here, or the stream, but I really appreciate this. I know his family will too. So Sarah, question back to you though. So over the last month, we've seen week by week, I think it's the MBA puts out what is happening with loan applications. What have you seen week by week with that? Are we seeing rates drop and then a bunch of applications come in? Like, what is that looking like? And does that kind of tell you, yes, maybe some buyers are coming back in, or what does that look like to you?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So I know that week over week applications were down 1%. And, that's minor. That's really not that big of a deal. But also what you have to take in consideration is there's been a big increase in cash buyers. And so when you look at the percentages of the loan applications and new applications, I think the year over year number, it was down 19%. And a lot of the people in the news took that number, was like, oh, this is part of a bubble bursting and a crash coming near. And really, it's just because it doesn't account for the increase in cash buyers, because they can't be in those numbers. So even though we have seen a slight decrease, I see it more as like the market slightly stabilizing. and not as, oh, that's fun. Not not as an indicator that there's some kind of crash or, that people aren't applying for homes anymore.
Right. Okay. Now, one question I have is on new builds. I did this video that came out Tuesday. We talked about new builds, talking about that buyer demand for new builds had dropped. I think it was somewhere around 6.4%. I always appreciate Jason Walter, who jumped on the channel a few weeks ago. If you watch his channel and if you subscribe to him, he puts out kind of really good detail. It's funny. I hate to follow up videos that he does because I don't want people to think I'm taking his data, but I love how thorough he is. But in the videos, he was talking about buyer demand dropping. Are you seeing buyers that were potentially doing new build, Sarah, jumping out and doing loans for resale instead?
Yes.
Okay,
I have seen that. It's kind of nice though, because it's like a lot of those folks that were in those new build contracts or took them because it was the only thing available. And now they have a little bit more selection. And I have a lot of clients that are actually been under contract for new construction so long, and it keeps getting pushed out. They just want to be in a home where they can get in the school district so their kids can start going to school. They're just so tired of just living, in limbo and not having a place they can put their roots down because it's just taken so long. So it's kind of nice that there's been some more resales on the market so they can take that step.
Yeah, I mean, I know my email is blowing up right now with builders, just like Dinosaur D says right here. My email has been blowing up with deals. In fact, I saw today Ian's favorite builder, GFO Home, offer a 65-inch TV with 5,000 in closing costs. Did you see that?
I was like, oh, wait a minute.
I was posting that today. I was like, man, it's hysterical. But Kevin and Ian, are you guys seeing the same thing with these builders offering a ton of incentives or starting to add incentives where they weren't before?
I personally haven't had many people looking at the new build like in the last, let's say from 30 days ago or 60 days ago till today. I do look at some of the emails, and the most interesting thing that I'm looking for is to see when the bulk of the inventory is going to be available to investors again. So like if anything that happens until that point, I'm kind of like, okay, this is just part of the seasonality cyclical nature of the market. But if they're allowing investors back into the mix, then okay, then I think then we've got some interesting things to be talking about. And just so you're aware, whenever you're ready for it at any point, I don't want to do it right now, but I actually pulled a bunch of data relative to the video that you'd sent to us earlier. And so I pulled a bunch of our data for comparative purposes. So at some point, I want to share a little bit of that tonight.
Yeah. So I think from here, what we're going to do is we're going to go into and talk about the numbers that came out today. And it's very fortunate they came out today. I went through and I went back and looked at the last 2 years of data when it comes to July, because what we're going to see, Jaden, mark this. What we're going to see, sorry, Jaden's my editor. What we're going to see going forward and what these numbers state is we're going to see a lot of these bubble YouTubers go out there saying demand dropped or new contracts dropped. So there we go. The bubble's happening. So let's look at the data that popped out today, and then let's start with this. And then we're going to answer some of those questions and talk about the bubble bursting and what that actually looks like, because the bubble bursters are out, and they're out with a vengeance, getting that clickbaity good clicks and YouTube money. So here we go. All right. So here's the stats for that came out today. This is the Austin numbers. Austin. Oh, let me clear this out. Sorry.
Austin proper, not the MSA.
This is Austin proper, and I'm going to look at Austin proper at this. We can adjust and look at other stuff too, but I set everything up to look at just Austin proper because I feel like we're looking at a very wide range once we go outside of Austin. So median prices are up 37%. Closed volume, however, is down 10%. So we had 1,300 closed. So people are going to look at this and go, oh my gosh, the crash is coming. Is that what you are hearing as well, gentlemen and lady?
We're hearing that, yeah, but I mean, it's BS, but you know this. It's the way you present data, and I'll say this. Okay, 10% of closed sales are down 10%. Okay, how many new homes are being listed? How many active homes do we have listed? How many homes are going pending relative? And then this is 10%. This is not month-to-month data, remember, right? This is last year's versus this year's.
Right. Last year's versus this year's. And so here's what I have to point out to everyone. If you're looking at the lower right-hand corner, 0.09 months of inventory. So all of these bubble bursters are going to come out saying that this 10% drop shows that we are now in this bubble bursting. Let me show you something. Here is July 2020. July 2020, we saw 21%. So we saw about 100 and something more sales close. Look at the months of inventory. July of last year is almost double the Austin numbers, almost double in that right-hand corner. Mm-hmm. So if you're looking at this, and this is July of 20, now let's go look at July of 19. This is July of 19. Look how many actually sold in July of 19. 943 listings. So we still have about 400 more listings that sold this July than we did in 19. And if we're going to compare markets to markets, it's a lot more fair to look at 2019 market than it is 2020 because obviously we're in the middle of a crazy time. And then if you look at the months of inventory, 1.9 months inventory. So we're still half of what and I don't know. Do you guys remember 19? Wasn't a busy year?
It was very busy.
Yeah.
It was busy. So you have all these bubble bursters coming out and saying this. Now, look at this number right here as well. Single family sold in July, down 1% in Austin. So it is common in July to have a downward trend in July, right? And why is that?
Because everybody's going on vacation and taking breaks and getting ready for school to start. I mean, this has always been the case.
Getting ready for school.
Every year I've ever done it. In fact, my first listing in real estate was listed in June and July. And I was freaking out because I was like, this house should be sold right now. And that was my first taste of a summer in the real estate market, July.
Yeah. So here's the other thing that I want to show everyone, because you're going to get all of these bubble bursters come out and they're going to say this. If you look at June's number, June median price was $575. Now let's look at Austin July. So from June to July, we're actually down $25. So they're going to start saying, oh my gosh, the prices have come down. The prices have come down. The good thing Jeremy went back and looked at previous data, because that's what Jeremy does. Here is June of 19. June of 19, 985 homes sold. Prices were up. Look at the price, $420. Let's look at July of 19. Prices are at $410. They went down $10,000. Yes, it's higher than last year by 7%. But we are going to see people say that, oh, prices are down. Prices are down. Yet, if you look at a normal trend, we are back to finally being a little bit normal. Any thoughts on these crazy numbers I'm throwing out?
I like what Chris said. So, most of y'all know I'm from Chicago, right? Chris Miller says, because being in Texas in July and August, and it's so true. I was actually standing outside today thinking, man, it's a little spicy out here. I don't want to be out here for the moment. So I understand that trend us being affected by the weather, among other things. As silly as it sounds.
So let me ask, go ahead, Sarah. What I was going to ask you, Sarah, is, so these trends that I'm showing you, is this what you're seeing on the, the mortgage side?
Yeah, actually, we saw a decrease in loan applications in July, which kind of helped me because I kind of took it back to my team and we did some more training and focused on some other things, just because, that is the time that people go, all the things we've been saying, they go on vacation, they're doing other things. And so now we've seen it heat back up a little bit in August, and it's great. And we're getting back to normal, and it's nice to kind of see those regular trends like we used to, instead of being on full blast 24/7. Because when you're burning the candle at both ends, that's hard. So it is nice to see a little bit getting back to normal?
Getting back to normal sounds great, but we're still at less inventory than we were the last 2 years this time of year. So that's why prices are still going up. So I think part of the problem, we talked about this at the beginning, is that buyers are getting fatigued from all these price increases. They're getting fatigued from the buying process. And I will tell you, I tell clients this every single year. And you guys tell me if I'm wrong. I'm okay if you think I'm wrong.
You're wrong.
Best
I don't even know
time.
what you're about to say.
The best time to buy a home literally is between July, to buy a home, not to sell a home. If you're thinking about selling a home right now, don't sell right now. Oh my gosh, a realtor telling you not to sell your house right now, but the market's about to crash. I should sell. No, listen to me, please. Between July and October, we see all these listings hit, then people go back to school and then they stop looking. And then what we'll start seeing is some of these will start getting picked up. And then as we get closer to the holidays, people will start pulling their homes off the market, or these homes that were overpriced like crazy will start price decreasing. And we're seeing that numbers about 20% price decrease across the board, which is pretty standard. But between now and late October if you're a buyer, it's the best time to get in here. But Ian said at the top, we're still seeing stuff where you walk in and how many offers? You're like, oh, look, it's been on the market 2 weeks. Multiple offers still.
Mm-hmm.
Am I wrong?
No, you're definitely right. Jeremy, I sent you that data, the screen share on the data.
Yeah, you want to pop it on here?
Pop that on real quick.
Yeah, I'm gonna get to this real quick because I want to actually go into and actually put this person on blast.
I met Ray Park, so that's not actually a diss, Master Jedi. See that? I like that guy. He was also Darth Maul. Very cool guy. Master Jedi. I know you know that.
Okay.
Sorry, I had to pull out the nerd for a minute.
For a minute. You don't. It's not like a.
I turned it on. It was not
on and off. It's always there. It's just the subconscious. It's ready to rear its ugly head with office memes.
I will say I absolutely agree with you, Jeremy. I do want to say you're wrong, but you're not. You're not wrong. The holidays, what happens is nobody wants to actually move between Thanksgiving and Christmas holiday seasons. Nobody wants to do that, right? So if you have your house on the market and it doesn't get picked up, well, then you're like, oh, might as well take it off the market because I've got family coming over and I'm cooking dinner this year or something like that.
I want to wait till prices get better in March.
Yeah, right. Exactly that. So,
Sarah, do you see that trend happen too on your side?
So in a normal year, and I do. So in the past, before we had what we had this last year, I would always, if borrowers would ask me that, I'd always redirect them to their realtor, but let them know, yes, what I typically see is when you're getting to the fall and the holidays, it's usually either a good time that you can get, like, I think you mentioned this in your video too earlier this week, Jeremy, like, builder inventory. They're trying to sell out and close those deals in December. And so that's a good time to get extra incentives or get a good deal on something they're trying to close out. Or if you have a home on the market that's still there after the holidays have started, then that means they're probably really incentivized to sell. And so that you might be able to get a better deal there. But of course, I'm not a realtor. I always will refer back to y'all, but that is also what I see is there's usually some more negotiations that can be had in a standard year. Now with 2020, I personally didn't see that a lot, and I don't know what to expect this year. I mean, what do y'all think about that?
I think we're going to see prices increase again. So I think we're starting to see a little bit of a leveling, right? Where we're not seeing, I mean, look, the numbers are going to show 37% increase year over year, right? Because our prices are higher than they were last year and they're not decreasing. Unlike some people are saying, well, the market's going to turn 35%, which we'll talk about in a second. Kevin's ready to go, which I'm glad. Kevin's hot. But what we'll see is that inventory is going to drop in November. So if you are thinking about listing your home, I would caution you to wait until November, because what happens is that you have all these holiday buyers that come through. There's not that much inventory. And then you see this 10, 15 bid thing happen. and you see over list price through December, it slows back down in December. And then what happens in January? The octane goes up, the fire goes on, and it is all over. It is nothing but heat from there. I mean, am I wrong?
I mean, like anything else, trends are interesting because trends are very obvious after the fact. Like you look back and you're like, oh, trends are very obvious. To us in the time that we're working this, like we can feel these certain things that are happening, but they're just points along a line. It's one point, and you of course have to average these out over time, but you shouldn't notice a trend unless it's becoming very obvious, like every time that you notice one of these data points in your mind that it's going in a certain direction. And I just don't feel that way with it based on what I'm seeing right now. And I caution people too, like in real estate, I caution you to use 1 month or even 2 months or even 3 months necessarily as a trend, because historically it can change on the spin of a dime. So, I don't know. That's just kind of where I sit with this based on everything I'm looking at and based on everything I feel right now. I think you're right. I think this is our first little breather. And then now everybody's going to come back into it with a lot of knowledge. They're going to come back into it with a renewed sense of what they're willing to do and not willing to do in order to buy. I think you have smarter sellers. You have smarter agents now. It's just going to become our new normal here for at least a little while, I believe.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. I reached out to Sarah. I'm trying to buy 2 investment properties this month. Hi, Sarah. I mean, I spent all day today looking at investment properties and calling on investment properties. That's what I did all day today. I mean, I have quite a few investors that are like, okay, now is the time to buy because things are slowing down. They're not having to do, 80 grand, 100 grand over list price, but we can get something maybe 25 grand over. And so that's where, I'm actively looking for stuff myself. I don't know, Kevin, do you still have investors looking? Ian,
oh yeah. Like I've got, how many calls did I have last week? 3 calls with the same profile, right?
Yep.
3 and 2, 400,000.
Yeah.
Best return on rental rate versus purchase rate. Like, listen, until they stop, this isn't going to go away. Like, I actually personally am in the market for a rental property right now, an Airbnb property, and so like listen, I am buying and I'm also working in the same market, so I understand both sides. I'm legitimately looking as a consumer would look, and I'm looking at returns, and I'm looking at where can I make money and how much am I willing to spend. Like I could have told you a year even ago, 2 years ago, I wouldn't even dream about paying what I'm thinking about paying for a place right now. Like wouldn't even dream about it. But now I'm like, well, I mean, these numbers are justifiable. So this makes a lot of sense for me right now. As long as I can swing it, that's a good time to be building some equity. So I'm living it.
Yep. All right. Let's, any final words before we jump into, Ian, I hope you're prepared for this, but any final words that before we jump into dismantling another channel?
I was just gonna say, whenever the time is ready, I saw a question about the tapering, about Fed tapering. So whenever you feel that needs to be addressed, I'm happy to kind of do a little.
Let's actually go there first, because I want to give a lot of time to this. So everybody's hearing the Fed's tapering. I want to get your take on it. I actually want to get everybody's take on it.
Yeah.
Starting with you, Sarah, of course.
So basically on Wednesday, the Fed minutes came out from the July 28th meeting. And those minutes and the reason, and we saw mortgage-backed securities do well that day because the minutes came out saying, with the Fed saying that there wasn't a substantial further progress in all areas. Like they saw substantial further progress in inflation and in price stability, but they didn't see it in jobs yet. But this meeting was before the really great jobs report that came out in August. And so now even the dovish members from the Fed are now agreeing that if there's another really great jobs report, that they're on board for tapering early. So really what to look out for is the jobs report for August that will come out in September to see if it's a really good numbers. If they're good numbers, most likely in that Fed meeting in September, we're going to see that probably they're going to start tapering early. But the thing is, when you look at that, the Fed kind of moves slow. So if the Fed starts tapering in September, if that's what they decide, most likely that tapering won't start happening until probably January of 2022. And when they're tapering, that means they're just going to start slowly buying less mortgage-backed securities. Right now, the numbers that are out there are that they're buying 40 billion mortgage-backed securities and 80 billion treasuries. But
Isn't
really,
that actually higher? Aren't they lying
yes,
about the number they're buying? The number is actually much, much higher.
it is much, much higher. So when you look at the
So the
reinvestment,
Fed would lie to us, Sarah?
shocking.
Oh my gosh.
So basically, when you look at the amount after their reinvestments, they actually have over 100 billion in mortgage-backed securities. So when you kind of look at this big picture, when they start tapering 100 billion, it might be like, okay, instead of 100, we might do 90 and then start going slowly from there. So I think big picture wise, we have to, look at this as if they do the tapering, the sky's not falling. It's going to be slow. It probably still won't happen. At the earliest, it'll probably be January of 2022, even if they make that decision in September. But with that being said, for buyers that are on the market now, I mean, if you're happy with your rate, you should lock it in and keep going now because it can have an influence on rates. It's not going to cause rates to go through the roof, but I mean, I definitely wouldn't make the assumption that once tapering starts happening, rates are going to go down. They are going to most likely continue to go up.
Okay. Go ahead.
I'm so interested in this particular concept because like we've talked about a bunch of times, people are still going to need to buy houses despite what the rates do, right? Mm-hmm. The thing is, I think, what was his name? Sam talked about the jobs coming here. The variable in there is how many people are working remote still once the jobs come here, right? And then also, do they want to live here if they can live anywhere else in the United States? If the company is 100% virtual, these two things are still variables, unknowns. Has Apple announced that there's a return to work in the office? I know Facebook has talked about it.
Yeah.
Tesla,
so I have a few clients that work. I have a few clients that work at Apple, and they went from 1 day to 3 days a week. Some of them, I don't know all of them. So they are coming back to the office. Yeah. But with all of the recent stuff, I would imagine they'll probably taper that as well.
Again, yeah. Right? Yeah.
Kevin, what does the my foil hats over there, what are the conspiracy theories tell us?
I mean, I don't know if there's anything really new that we talked since what we talked about in last week or whenever that was. But obviously I think that there's some other factors that we could talk about, and I don't know how deep into that you actually want to get, but the way that can I say it? The Delta? Can I say that word?
I think you can say Delta.
Yeah.
But I'm interested to see how the Delta is going to affect things. I see a lot more people that are going back into. I don't know that from my side. I've noticed people changing their habits, except that people are just wearing masks more often when they're going places. But I'm interested to see how this is going to roll out here in the future. Are we going to go back to some of the same fear that we had at the beginning of our lockdown, where people weren't listing their houses, and now we have another inventory shortage, and then our buyer demand hasn't slowed down very much? Like, if we see something like that, legitimately, if we see another mini quarantine, then I think that this trend that we have can actually get drug out a lot longer than even it's probably going to happen anyway.
And the other thing is, we don't know. What is he?
Chris, great comment.
Really funny.
I tell all of them to change your license plate as soon as you can. It's the first thing you have to do.
You're gonna get your car keyed.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, sorry, Ian.
No, never mind. It's not really relevant.
I was going to say two things for the comments. Yes, tapering does not mean a crash. That's accurate. Also, tapering does in the long run mean it is a good thing. Like, if you look at the economy, big picture, because it shows that we're getting stronger as an economy. And so we don't need the government support we don't need them to start buying these mortgage-backed securities to help, make the economy stronger. So, I mean, yes, there was a comment there, and that is big picture. It's a good thing, but even though short term we might not like it because of the influence it may have on rates and things like that.
I mean, I always think though, like all of us are not like national macroeconomists either. Like we're not trying to take the Fed rate or macro moves in the economy as the way it's going to affect our market. I think some things could affect our market, but really it's more relevant into other markets that maybe don't have justifiable microeconomic indicators that show strength in their economy, right? Like maybe these sub-major markets in smaller states. I think those are the ones going to maybe be more affected by any national correction in something like interest rates or buyer demand slowing down. But us here in Austin, like I'm not trying to act conceited either. Like we got a lot of stuff going on. We have lots of major businesses that are currently moving here. Rumored other major businesses that are like, I heard a rumor, I'm not even going to say it. Another major company was thinking about moving a major operation here into Austin. Like
Disneyland.
Why did you have to do that? Why?
I heard it.
I heard the same thing too?
I heard that Disney bought up 7,900 acres out towards Lockhart.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't hear this.
Dude, that's a perfect spot.
Is that what you heard?
I heard the same thing. I didn't hear 7,900. I heard a different number. But
where's Master Jedi? Where's he now?
Share these numbers, they just make numbers up. I'm sure you didn't, but I think the person that told me probably just made up the number.
So
I could have been a made up number too, but the guy Master Jedi actually sent me the link, which is hysterical because it was a guy that used to be on my softball team. He did a video with somebody else that buys up land, and they were talking about all the back end stuff that's recently sold and Disney buying up. He's like, this is hush hush. So
why wouldn't they?
I mean, why not?
That's crazy.
I mean,
can you imagine Disneyland in Lockhart though?
I can actually.
Would you go?
Have you been? I mean, have you been to Orlando? Like, where is Disney World relative in Orlando? Like, when it was built, right? It's in the middle of lakes and farmland.
Yeah,
and then Orlando just became a city because Disney World is there, and that's great because now they have a great city. My brother actually works as one of the city engineers for the city of Orlando, and he loves it there. So they have a new thriving economy that's somewhat independent of the tourism now. But why wouldn't Disney build a park here in Austin of all places where they can grab this middle America flyover crowd a little bit easier than they could than in Florida or even California? You get some people that can now essentially drive to a Disney vacation much easier than they could before, especially in Texas.
I guess it would make more sense to me if there was. So I don't know what Disney's going to do. I don't know if they're putting a Disneyland or they're building a studio. That remains to be seen. But I know there's other stuff that's getting built in Bastrop. Shout out Master Jedi. Other studios have purchased up land in Bastrop. So it could be that they're putting studios out there. But I could not imagine people flying to Austin to go to Disneyland. I just don't see it. Just because Austin doesn't have the infrastructure for it. Maybe Dallas, which is crazy big, because they already have theme parks there. But the problem, I think, with Austin is our airport's just not big enough. So are they going to build an airport next to it?
They're already expanding that, though. They're expanding the airport.
I mean, you know how Austin is, though. We're going to expand, and it takes 15 years to do half the project, and then they need more money.
Rails, they're talking about building a tunnel there, finally.
But we're thinking too short-sighted and small. Yeah. Like we're thinking about what we can wrap our heads around today. But again, how did Disney start? It started as a studio, and then they slowly built some things around it and attractions, and they add more attractions, and it becomes what it is today, based on the size that it is available. There's no reason why companies like Disney shouldn't be thinking 50 years into the future or 100 years into the future and saying, what's our next relevant move? I mean, the concentration of people, Austin, San Antonio, Houston, and Dallas, you have enough driving traffic to support a small Disney park while it's growing until the airport's bigger.
That actually makes a ton of sense because you do like think about it. Houston's one of the largest cities in the U.S. Dallas is on that list as well. Austin's coming around, but then San Antonio isn't any slouch either. So you have 4 major cities, including Austin in Texas. And then plus we have Midland, all these other places that could drive and make it here in a day trip and then have hotels and all that fun stuff. So yeah, to be honest with you, it actually makes a ton of sense now that I think about it, and I'm thinking big brain instead of little brain.
and right now you got to look at how much it costs somebody like Disney to come in and buy land and plan for that.
Yeah.
Just like Tesla and all these other large companies.
You may as well do it now. It may even be that it may, if it's one of the
this
properties
is in between the two. You've got Florida over here, you've got California here, and you've got Texas right in the center. It only makes perfect sense.
What's the name of the aluminum company? Is it Alcon? Because there's actually a massive property over in that area that was owned by Alcon, and it sold not recently. So yeah, it would make more sense for them to buy up the cheapest land possible, which wouldn't be that right now, in larger quantities, flat, developable, easy to bring traffic to, near major airport, near major infrastructure, roadways. Like, for me, it makes a lot of sense. And by the time they even stroke, a pin on what's going to happen over there, how big is Elon Vegas going to be? The unincorporated town of Elon Vegas.
Oh, I know.
With the mayor Elon.
The mayor of Elon. All right.
There's another variable that we're kind of like, we barely broached the subject for a second, and it's how are people perceiving their work moving forward? First off, you can't get anybody. I mean, you go to restaurants and half of them are a quarter staffed. Like that's already an issue, right? You have a lot of people that are turning to driving and to YouTube and all these gig economy sort of things versus going back to their traditional job. That's absolutely going to change the landscape too. Where people live.
Yeah.
For now until our cyber dystopia sets in and we're all living.
Well, yeah.
I'm just joking. Yeah, I don't disagree with you, but I'm cool. I'm actually cool with seeing how this is actually probably another big discussion we could have outside of this.
You know what we're missing right now, right?
Pizza.
Tesla's AI Day. It's happening right this second.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Where at?
Well, Palo Alto, but YouTube.
All right. Oh yeah. Everybody's
soon
watching
to be Texas. Soon to be Austin.
I don't know. I look at Austin. I say this every time we talk about it. I think New York City was the immigration melting pot of the birth of America, and I think that Austin is the inter-migration melting pot of the United States. Because it's not a trend isn't one data point, but if you look at everything that's changed in the last 20 or 30 years, like this is a huge inflection point societally, right? We've gone from like literally sitting in the hallway talking on a corded phone to having everything that we need in the palm of our hands, literally over a 20-year span, right? That's a huge inflection.
You're talking to your car while it's driving itself.
Yeah, you're talking that 20 years ago, you would have been like, that's absurd. But now it's like legitimate and improving on it every single day. So the rate at which things are increasing, Moore's Law would say in the next 20 years, it would be massively more technological.
Well, think about it. Our real estate brokerage is on our phone now.
Oh yeah.
We can manage our real estate brokerage, our contracts from our phone.
It's actually the new app's really nice, by the way.
It is very nice. Ian, good job helping with that because Ian was part of the beta.
Good job, Ian.
Yeah, good job, Ian.
Thank you.
See, tech bros. All right. So I want all of you to jump in the chat. I want to see your responses to this. So number one, I want to see, have you seen this YouTube channel? And have you watched their videos? I don't really know this guy's name. I think it's Nick. I don't know his last name. Anyway, have you seen this channel? And that's the first question, yes or no. And then secondly, and I'm not promoting this guy's channel at all. In fact, for the longest time, I did not even want to talk about this guy, respond to him until I actually saw other YouTubers actually kind of blowing him up for what he's doing here. So I thought, you know what? I'll jump on the train too. Let's talk about it finally. So have you seen this channel? And number two question to that, he is saying everything's going to crash. Do you agree with his data points? Why Austin's going to crash? Because the video I'm talking about, Oh geez, is in here. Anyway, he put out this video saying that Austin was going to crash. I mean, he's put out all these other videos. So do you agree with him? Is Austin going to crash? And believe me, I got halfway through his video and I couldn't stomach any more of it. It just made me sick. And the comments of everybody bashing realtors drove me insane. Here's why. I put out videos and I do not ask for business. I try to help people. And my client, I have actually convinced more people in the last 18 months not to list their home. In fact, I missed out on listings that I would not list because I told people it was a bad idea. So to say that real estate agents are all about money and telling you when to buy or sell, I just put out a video telling people not to buy new build and wait to the end of the year when they're giving incentives. I just told sellers to wait until November. So anyway, that's just me, but I want to hear from you. Have you seen it? And then I want to start with this. So his data points on, let me see if I can find the video real quick. Oh, geez. God, I hate just looking. Here we go.
Rob's comment. He must not have ever been to Orlando.
Yeah. So here we go. So in this video, he used 2 data points to explain why Austin was going to have a 35% reduction. Hold on a second. 35% reduction. He is stating that we have a 35% reduction. Look at this. Okay. We've seen year over year, we're at 37% increase. He's saying that we are going to lose all of that by 2023.
You know who he
and
is?
His two data points are, number one, that lease rentals have not caught up to the amount of what homes are selling for right now. His second data point is that incomes have not reached the same amount. I think that was the second argument he made. But I want to get your take, Kevin, because I know I actually asked you specifically to pull up data and look at this. We went over data at the beginning of the video, looking at the trends. My issue with this person, my major issue with this person, it's one thing to look at stats. It's another to be boots on the ground and see what's happening boots on the ground. So for number one, for his data point, the fact that rental rates haven't caught up. Who's tried to do a rental in the last 6 months? Kevin, you're muted.
Yeah. I mean, obviously I like 2 or 3 months ago, there's this nice home in Georgetown that was listed. Nothing special in Georgetown, guys. It was listed for $2,500 a month. There were 30 applications within 24 hours. Mm-hmm. And then the winning rate, I think it was a lot more. I don't remember what the number was, but yeah, rental rates are not going down. I'll tell you that much. So
the problem with rental rates is rental rates don't just change overnight, right? That's in general, because it takes a full year for somebody to relist their rental. I can tell you my rental went for almost $400 more than I was renting it the year before, my South Austin rental. I just helped a client with a rental, and that rental, she had to pay 12 months up front just to get it. And it was like $3,000 a month because there was so much interest. There was like you said, 9 applications. So, and on top of that, speaking of rental rates, rental rates in Austin are the highest in Texas. And on top of that, rental rates, if you look at the data point, rental rates have gone up pretty quick since April. Oh, here, you're not seeing it. Here we go. My bad. My bad skis. Here we go. Rental rates have gone up since April. Look at that for Austin. That's almost $200 jump. That's a huge jump.
We've called that for
I don't know where this guy got he didn't say where his source of his, actually he said the source of his data.
You know why?
Zillow.
He's the Michael Burry of real estate.
I mean, I guess here the way I after I watched his nonsensical spouting, I thought about it like, okay, obviously I would love to do a rebuttal on this based on data, but the thing is, nobody wants to do a rebuttal saying why it will keep going up, right? Because then if they're wrong, there's more pressure against you for being wrong. But if you constantly, I've had a friend that's been saying for 3 years, real estate crash is coming. Be prepared. Are you prepared with your assets? The real estate crash is coming. Everybody's like, you're a dumbass. I mean, but at some point, if he gets it right, obviously they're going to think better of him than if he was saying that it's going up and then it actually goes down. So nobody wants to go on the record by saying that.
Thanks, Master Jedi.
Sarah's in.
The cat eye.
So one thing, I went into his comments one time because he posted something on his community page, and I learned quickly not to go into his comments anymore because he has built a whole entire channel on scaring people into thinking that the market's going to crash. And then on top of that, everybody in the comments is saying how terrible real estate agents are.
Yeah.
Fine. If you don't like real estate agents, fine. You don't have to use us. And blaming us for all of this. Okay, fine. But the point that I'm trying to make here is that if I'm at 9,000 subscribers, right at 9,000 subscribers. If I wanted to scare the crap out of people and get more subscribers, I could just make all these videos about the market crashing, because everybody thinks, oh, realtors are just going to tell you the market's great because they make money off of it. Yada, 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 yada. Okay, there's a lot of real estate agents going out of business this year alone because this year has been so brutal. It's been so hard to put stuff under contract. I mean, 1,200 sales. There's 14 or 15,000 agents in Austin for 1,200 sales. You tell me who's doing all the work. It's the top 1%, top 2%.
Us three and Sarah. That's who.
Us three and Sarah. So, and on top of that, I bring 2 other agents on this channel to talk about, and I have people reach out to them instead of me. So if I'm going to tell you to buy or sell, I'm doing it because I'm doing it. Ian's doing it because he's doing it. Kevin's doing it. Sarah just looks really cool. So I find that logic to be very flawed, but if you want to feel that way, you're more than welcome to your opinion. But Kevin, back me up with some facts here, man.
Okay. You ready to show my stuff?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay. So let me pull this up real quick so I have it in front of me. So Jeremy was mentioning the data that he did before, and I did not pull the Austin. I should have done it this way, and I should have asked you this before. I actually did pull the MSA data, including Round Rock. So I think it'll show the general trend, but I also will do this data with the Austin proper. Also, I didn't get a chance to do the rental data yet because rental data is a little different. They don't produce the rental data numbers the same way they do these. These are pretty readily accessible month to month. So I was able to grab monthly data points. So anyways, but I went back to, I didn't want to check 2020 versus 2021 because obviously 2020 was not a normal year, right? Like it was a lot of weird stuff going on. So I did go back to 2019. I compared all the median sales price, closed sales, days on the market, blah, blah, blah. And then I actually created a ratio of sorts between what I think is the best indicator is how many listings go pending each month versus how many new ones get listed. Okay. So if the rate that for me is kind of like the absorption rate. And so if one home's getting listed and one home's going pending, then we stay pretty even, right? The ratio of 1 would be that we stay in kind of a constant market. If 2 homes are going pending for every one that's getting listed, obviously we're running out of homes that we need to sell. Am I missing something? Oh. Anyways, so some of this isn't going to make as much sense, obviously, but what I did was I looked at through 2019. And so this red line here is active versus new listings. So how many in each month were active versus the number of new listings? So back in like the end of 2019, there were like in that month 3 times as many active listings as there were new listings. Okay, so that means that there was the things weren't really moving as fast as we'd like. And looking at the pending versus active, only about half of those were being absorbed at the time, like 0.5 were getting pending versus active, or even pending versus new. The blue line, it was pretty much around like the 1, and that stayed pretty close. So as far as the market stability goes, the blue line being around 1 is a better indicator of the way that buyer demand is keeping up with the number of homes being listed. Yes, it has ticked down this month in July. So that went from 1 in May. So we were 1-to-1 ratio in May. And then it went down to 85% in June. And now in July, we're at 76%. But that's the same number as March of 2020 of last year when COVID first hit. Oh, I'm sorry. The CV hit. And, but to me, it's very similar. There's not real major trends there.
Let's talk about that little dip at the end here. I have multiple new builds that have been pushed and pushed and pushed. Do you think that could contribute to the dip? Because it still shows pending on the MLS.
Yeah.
If the builder put it on the MLS.
I also believe that the pending versus new, like, it takes a little time to get your house ready for the market. So if your neighbor sold his house in like March and they got a crazy amount of money, and then April, the next neighbor was like sold for a little bit more, and then you're starting to talk to your family members about like, hey, this is a legitimate thing. We need to really do this. Well, if you just start prepping in May, you're probably not going to list until June or July. The reality of it is most people can't turn a house around that fast. So I believe the combination of three things happened in July. I think those people that were trying to prep their houses after hearing that their neighbor sold for so much, they were getting those houses onto the market. Yes, we saw an uptick in those listings. I told you
that happens every year.
That happens every year. The mask mandate was lifted. So a lot of people were traveling more so than the seasonal travelers would have been going in July.
Did you try going to the airport?
Yeah,
I missed like 6 flights in the last 2 months.
So those are three major factors that would indicate that this might slip a little bit. But again, this is 1 month or 2 months. Like 1 or 2 months does not indicate a trend, and correlation doesn't indicate causality either. There's no for somebody to say that this is the indication of a crash is absolutely ridiculous. Like, look at this one. Look at this number of the pending versus active, half as many. This number is still pending versus active is still over 1, right? So as far as the active listings go, we're absorbing still some of those active listings at a higher rate still. Now, if this goes back to, you can tell the obvious ways that this data could change that would start really indicating that we maybe at the beginning of something that was pretty crazy. But until I see like the next, I'd say at least 2 or 3 months to determine where the trend is going with this, I don't think that you can, anybody that says they can detect any trend is BSing you for views on a YouTube video, and they're trying to get ahead of what they think could happen. And just so you know, I did check this relative to just some other fast indicators. Months of inventory, we're still less than a month of inventory.
Yeah, we saw that.
6 months of inventory is the tip over point between a buyer's market and a seller's market. We've never even been since I've been in real estate, we haven't even been remotely close to a buyer's market in Austin area. We're still at less than
we're at 0.9 a month of inventory.
Less than 1 month of inventory, which isn't even remotely close, has no indication of a crash whatsoever. And then the last couple of things I looked at, new listings versus active listings and pending sales. These are just kind of trending, showing that the active listings are trending up. That's fine. I'm okay with active listings trending up. But look at where we are, active listings relative to the number of active listings in July of 2019. We're at 30, like, what is this? Show me my data. Show me my data, baby. 3,300 active listings versus 7,197 active listings in July of 2019 in a normal hot market. That's a normal hot market. I did good business that year. I'm sure all you guys did the same, had a good business.
2019 was my best year until 2020. And then 2021.
2019 is a normal hot Austin market, which means theoretically we can go far past this number before you should even and before the word crash should even come out of your bottle sipping mouth. Well, you should even get remotely close to that.
Right. That's the problem. The problem is people are using data that are at a national level, or they're trying to pull trends from other metropolitans. Because historically, that's the only thing you can do. That's the only data you've got. But
correct,
like you said, in Austin, how long has it been since we've had 6 months of inventory?
Yeah,
not since you've been in real estate.
Yeah, I've never seen 6 months of inventory in Austin. I've been here since 2012. So, I mean, here's a point I want to make too, is we say it's 0.9 a month of inventory in our MLS, but that means there's only 3,300 homes really in the local Austin area. This is a map of our MLS. 371 are kind of in the San Antonio, because you can list a house. I mean, how far out does this go?
They go.
It's weird. There's stuff everywhere. I don't understand that.
Yeah, I've seen stuff in right here you go. Atlanta has one. Like
in our MLS,
Mexico. Look, Mexico has one.
Why?
Or no, wait, no, it's
no border.
It's U.S. side.
The border.
But I mean,
it's
so
eyes,
really,
man.
it's only 3,300 and are close to our area, and then it's all Temple outside the area. And then if you go look at anything that's under 350, all right, let's do a little. Hey, Jeremy. All right, you said 400 is what your data point is for most of your. So under 400, just under 400 is only 1,000 listings. 1,000 listings. So that is 25% of the actual overall listings is under 400,000. So, I mean, we're going to need a lot of inventory to come back. And here's the point that we haven't made yet, and that Mr. Reventure, whatever his name is, has not even closely addressed. Are you ready for it? The amount of businesses that are still not here. Ian has made that point in the past. The amount of businesses that are still not here. I am helping Relo, a very major company. A lot of their relos are now having to go, wait for it, to rentals because they're having a hard time buying. Now, purchase prices, we'll get to that in a second, because that's the other thing that people are talking about, is that purchase prices are harder to get. But Ian, off the top of your head, how many major companies are still moving here that don't have employees here landed yet?
Oh, that don't?
That don't have people landed here yet?
I know at least 2 larger ones that are public knowledge.
Right. So obviously once Tesla,
presence.
they're bringing 10,000 people over. They are having trouble getting people actually buying. Okay. You have Apple is still bringing people over here. Wasn't there some news about Samsung getting ready to break ground? Almost there. Still working on that. Plus, you have Disney that's going to be moving here.
You heard it here
There's
first,
a lot.
folks.
There's still boring companies, SpaceX, all the other Elon, like Vegas companies, as you would say, right? Facebook, they're building more. Google, they just built a whole new office. They're still putting a lot of people here. Oracle, have they opened up their new campus?
Yeah, so the number of people a number of jobs was over 25,000 jobs that still have not even landed here. I mean, it's over that. So there's a lot of we could keep naming it. Oracle, I think they still have. They were bringing 1,000, but I don't think they're at capacity, but they've brought some of those over, to my knowledge. But
we're not even talking about all the new build, like the Kalahari, all these new buildings. The new HEB will probably have 800 employees. That thing is huge.
HEB is building another location next to my house.
Isn't the number 2 employer in Texas or something?
Yeah.
HEB?
Like that guy that said, let me just clarify too, because I'm sure no one will take the opportunity to go watch his video, and please don't do that. Don't give him the views or the ad revenue. Jeremy's right. The indicator he used was rental rates. So how much is our price, the percentage of increase in our pricing versus the percentage of increase in our rental rates. And he also compared them to a crash that has nothing to do with what we're seeing right now. Literally, he just literally compared it to one housing quote unquote crash that anyways, I'm not even going to go there, but I'm just break it down like a fraction for you. People will buy a product until it becomes too expensive for them to decide if they value that product or not. The prices in Austin will go up until people decide it's too expensive for them to live here, and then demand will slough itself back. The reason that we don't see Austin rental rates increasing rapidly is because it's still relatively affordable for what people are looking for. They can get the lifestyle that they want. They're making great money, and they're willing to pay what we have to offer here for these houses. So who cares if it goes up 30 or 40%? It may actually go up another 30 or 40% before you see a significant increase in rental rates, because people will just decide, well, maybe I can't afford to buy there, but I still want to live there. And that's when you'll see the effect like San Francisco and Seattle have, where they've ran out of affordability at the high levels, but the rental rates have grown quite a bit because people still want to live there. So use Seattle and San Francisco as a good indicator of how these can be one and the same, where a median home price can be $1.3 million and a rental rate can still be $4 a square foot on average.
Well,
So
then there's the elephant in the room, which is how many people have you heard lately have relocated because of something related to politics?
I mean,
Rhetorical question. We don't need to answer that.
most of them, it's at least a factor.
yeah, and I've
Both.
And not just individuals, but companies even.
Yeah, and I've had people that were going to move here, and now they're moving to Dallas. I just found out one of our clients. Thank you, Sarah. It moved to Frisco instead of buying here. So you're right. So I do think we will. Aaron's question right here about percent. How? Okay. So what is the best guess of how much winter will take down prices? 5% maybe. I don't think I personally do not think we will see a huge drop in prices in the winter months going into January. I think what we're going to see, so this month was 37% increase, or for July, you'll probably see 30 or 40% increase for August. You'll probably see the same until we get really to December, and things will start leveling off where you see the numbers actually 5% or 5 or 6%. But my best guess in a normal year, we were seeing what? I want to get your thoughts on this post, Sarah, but let me find this. Here we go. So 2019, prices in June went up 11%. Prices in July went up 7%. So we're going to start seeing these normal prices. In fact, I'll pull up the January stats here in a second for past years, but I think we'll start seeing stuff back to that 5 to 7 to 9%. I mean, I could be wrong, and I'm okay being wrong, but to say we're going to turn 35%.
No, it'd have to be a catastrophic event. And for our market to have that happen to us, I believe it'd have to be a national or global catastrophic event. And I'm not saying it couldn't exist, because we're in a fourth turning, right? Until 2028, we're not out of the woods yet.
I like that Steven said Coinbase. That was one of those that I love that he mentioned that. They just recent IPO too. I lost big on that one. Ooh. But I'm holding.
You haven't, you don't lose until you sell.
Yeah. I'm holding.
I want to go back and look at the data from 2008, 2009 in Austin to see how the market was weathered versus the.
So I actually read an article about that today, and it said since 2007, we nationally, of course, we have not had a better or a higher demand for home sales and prices right now since 2007.
I had some stats that from the other day where it was debating because kind of stats to back up the fact that we're not having a crash, because everyone tried to relate it back to the 2008. And it basically just broke it down really simple. Like in 2006, that builders were creating 2 million units of inventory, and the demand was less than half of that. And it started in 6, continued to 7, and that's what was part of the reason that caused the crash, because there's just too much supply. Today, we're creating about 1.5 units of inventory a year,
right,
and the demand is much above that. So there's just not just the numbers are there. There's no way. And until you have more supply than demand, you're not going to have a crash. Like, it just doesn't make sense.
Yep. Yeah. And just to be clear, I wasn't trying to compare this to 2007 or 2008. I just know that that's where the numbers have been going as far as the demand. The demand has not subsided.
How long do I have, Sarah, to keep have the ability to get like a sub 4 interest rate?
That's a good
sub
question.
4?
Sub 4.
Yeah.
Oh,
And I don't care about
minute.
3 sub 4 years.
So I'll tell you, because Sarah told me today, so if you want to put buy points, 3.375 for an investor loan.
That's really good.
My wife doesn't like to buy points though. So.
Yeah.
that was what we laughed about back and forth. All right. So I do want to get your take on this. I jumped off of it. I want to get your take on this post that this guy also did today, Sarah. And then I want you guys to chime in as well. Sorry, let me zoom in a little bit. All right. Banks continue to operate under extremely strict lending standards for new mortgages. It's harder to qualify for a conforming loan, those backed by Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac in July 2021, than it is in 2011 in the middle of the last housing crash. Think about that for a second. The housing market is setting records for appreciation and price level, yet banks are operating under the housing crash level loan standards. Weird. First off, I wanted you to answer this question, but our last president took a lot of those restrictions away, and now those restrictions are coming back. So, okay, guy, chill. What do they know that everyone else doesn't? Well, apparently you don't know a whole lot, because on another video you were talking about using Zillow, or another post about Zillow data anyway. Sorry, go ahead, Sarah. This guy riles me up, man.
I'm sorry. This just makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. So, I mean, there has not been any major changes or restrictions and guidelines since, since 2011. Like, you have some here and there. We had some with COVID. A lot of those restrictions that we had with COVID and those guidelines, a lot of them have now expired, have gone away, because they've shown that the economy has gotten more stable. But I mean, and it's funny because actually we're having a lot of non-QM loans come back. Like, we actually have an in-house product where you can get a loan after one day after bankruptcy. Like, these things are actually coming back. So that just doesn't make sense to me. Also, starting next month, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac just released that they're actually going to start combining credit scores. So now, instead of like just taking the lower mid score to qualify, and you need at least a 620 for a conventional, now they're averaging them. Ooh. That's never happened before.
They should add them together.
Yeah.
So now, add them and divide them by 2.
But that's brand new. So now actually they're getting more flexible. So that literally makes no sense to me. But it's really funny because it's like, now you have someone with like a 590 and a 660, you average them together, you can get a conventional loan, and you wouldn't be able to. So
that's always baffled me why they did that. Because you'll have one borrower that's a 750 credit score, another borrower that's 580, and they go off the lowest score, and then they end up paying like 4.5% interest rate on and they can only qualify for FHA. Because you have one of those buyers who is obviously, let's be honest, yin and yang's match, right? So not everybody's going to have perfect credit. So I've always found that weird that they haven't done that. What does scare me a little bit about going to these non-conforming loans is that in 08, so the biggest thing that we can say about this market now versus 08 is that our lending guidelines are much stronger. So if you're going to compare to 2008, it's a stupid thing to compare to, because we don't have people that literally are like literally straw buyers. All this craziness happening in 08 that buyers couldn't even, ARMs. When's the last time you've done an ARM, Sarah?
Well, I think the last time I did an ARM was maybe 4 years ago.
Okay. So how many ARMs do you do a year, Sarah?
Not many. It has to make a lot of sense to do an ARM. And honestly, rate wise, before people would do an ARM because they knew they'd only be in a home for maybe 3-5 years. And they would do it because it used to have significantly lower interest rate. And it made sense because they had a time frame, they had a deadline. But lately, there hasn't been that much difference with ARM pricing and fixed rate pricing. So life happens, go with a fixed rate if that's the case.
Yeah. All right. So,
but we still have to document stuff. Like, it's not like it's the no documentation, like, tell me how much you make. Okay, great. You get a loan. Like, that's the stuff that was happening in 2008. That's still not happening and will never happen. I can't foresee that ever coming back. So yeah, that makes no sense to me. That article's ridiculous.
I just think it's interesting because these guys, and I'm not just singling out this guy. He's not the only person that's doing this. A lot of people are doing this for
Well, the
clicks.
only reason I'm singling it out is because he's talking about Austin specifically.
Austin market, yeah.
Yeah, I
Without
could
backing
care-
up with data.
And real.
I could care less what he's talking about the other markets. It's the fact that he's talking about Austin, and then the comments are always bashing realtors. That bothers me
Right.
because this channel is not about that. Anyway, go ahead. I apologize.
No, that's fine. I was just saying, like, data is a really tricky thing. It's really tricky because anything that you're talking about, even statisticians, if you want to talk about it, statisticians would even ask you to do correlation data and then talk about, the way standard deviations and really force you to say there's a clear trend or there's not a clear trend. And unless somebody comes to me, if I see a video that says, and if anybody's willing to do this, because I sure as heck am not, because I don't have any reason to do this. But if you want to say that the market's crashing and you want to go in and run that data, do a statistical analysis with confidence levels, the way a college professor would do a statistical analysis as part of a master's thesis, then I'll start listening to you if you can say that there's a clear trend that the data is showing you to go one way. It bothers me. What part bothers me about that is, like, it makes our jobs a lot harder, because then people like that will say, well, because he said specifically, just go look at the data. But anybody that's watching that video, not one of those people is going to go pull the raw data. They're just going to listen to him.
They're just going to believe it.
Yeah, he's like, but if you look at the data, I mean, listen, you can say data can say whatever you want it to say. That's why I like to look at it either really detailed or just show you what I'm seeing. Like, this is raw data here that I'm showing. It's the easiest chart ability to be able to do that. So if you're watching this, whether it's now or whenever you're watching this, just mind yourself, like, don't listen to these goofballs that say the sky is falling. Like, trust the people that are working the market and, do what's right for you.
I mean, I'm not going to say trust realtors, right? That's not what I want to say here.
Trust Jeremy and Ian and Kevin and Sarah. That's what I say.
Yeah. But what I do want to say here is that there's a difference between people that just look at data and then people who are actually working in the data. Now, yes. I'm constantly seeing, like, my emails flooded every day still with people. I want to move here. Sarah gets emails. You guys get emails. I'm still getting emails constantly. And if I wasn't seeing demand there, I would say, hey, we have a problem. Mm-hmm. Just like I saw that we're going to have a problem with builders because builders overprice themselves, right? We're talking about pricing getting too high. Builders overprice themselves. And I'm telling people, hey, wait, because you know what these builders are going to do? They were doing $40,000, $50,000 every week raising prices. And now they're raising $1,000. And then they're offering a $7,500 discount. They're offering TVs. So if you're going to buy new build, do it, but wait until you're getting, and hey, one tip I didn't give you in that video, write this down, ask for more. Whatever they're offering, ask for more. Just ask for more. Might as well, because they're going to have to start giving it up.
They're also, remember, the builders are not reporting all their data either. Like, when this reporting data does not include every sale. There's off-market sales, which a lot of those are builder sales that they want to keep off market. So there's a lot, probably I don't even know, venture a guess how much is not recorded. But also remember that, for every bad real estate decision that you think that you're making or going to make relative to where we are right now, just remember that in 1981, people were happily paying 18.5% interest rates in buying houses. Happily. For years, they paid numbers over 10% and up to almost 20%. So
I like this comment right here. You can make it statistics are easily manipulated.
Heck yes, they are.
This is why I always look at data. I had how many data classes or how many statistic classes did you have where you can actually go change the data to however you want to do it to get your hypothesis or your thesis. So I don't trust data until I can look at it. And I went through and I looked at all the data. I went back and looked at previous years. So it's not like I'm just pulling all this crap out of my ass. Well, that's kind of funny. I'm not pulling this out of my butt saying, hey, look, buy a home. I'm telling you what I've seen for the last 7 years as a realtor. And what I've seen every year is same things Kevin said earlier. the market's going to crash this year. It's going to crash this year. And all these realtors and all these people get super worried in what month? July. And then the numbers come out and then they go, oh, see, this just means that it's going to crash. The numbers aren't as good as they were in June. And then all of a sudden August numbers come out. And then August, September, November numbers come out. And all of a sudden we're back into January and it's, oh crap, this is the best year ever. Every single year. And I've seen every single year buyers capitalize in September, capitalize in October on this inventory that's just sitting on the market. So I can follow the trend and see what the trend is. Yes, like Kevin said, anybody that's going to tell you exactly what's going to happen 3 months from now, I can estimate, but I can't tell you exactly what's going to happen. I'm doing the best I can off of the information that we've got in front of us.
You know, I think it's interesting. Market nirvana in our market.
Thanks, Dinosaur D.
Our market nirvana actually took place in September of 2020. If you ever want to tell anybody that was the perfect mix of equal ratios of homes being listed, sold, active, and pending, basically.
Wait, say that again. Sorry, I was reading comment.
No, September 2020 is the only month I've seen on record where we had perfect nirvana in the number of homes being listed, sold. It was actually by definition a stable market. And
we're long past September 2020.
I think about what was going on in September 2020. You know, people were deep in the halls of quarantine at that time too.
Yep. 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 Sarah, are you seeing weakness in the Austin market? Any weakness in the Austin market?
Jeez.
Weakness is a tough word to decrypt.
Right. I mean, I don't know if I would say weakness. I mean, I'm still seeing people going under contract. I think the little bit that I've seen that gives me hope is that I'm starting to get some contracts in where the buyers are not having to pay seller title policy and survey, which has been nice. And so and not having to offer as much over asking on some of the properties. So that's the only difference I've seen lately on the most recent contracts I've gotten, which to me is positive, but I wouldn't classify that as a weakness in my eyes. I don't know what y'all think.
I look at Aaron's comment. He's seeing price drops, and that's absolutely correct. But I think
20% of the market, I'm seeing price drops. Yep.
Yep. You're seeing price drops, but you also know that some of these people are just listing high because they saw their friend months ago put it on the market for X amount. So they're not
with cell phone pictures.
Say it again.
With cell phone pictures.
Yes. Oh my. Yes.
They're listing.
It's like 50% of homes are listed with cell phone pictures now. People are getting so lazy.
Yeah.
What is happening?
One thing I'm seeing, and so the weakness to add to this that I'm seeing is that people are overpricing. And this is, I did a video saying this exactly. Hey, don't overprice your home, price it where it should sell, and you're going to get multiple offers still in this market. Ian we started the beginning saying house that was 14 days on market. Guess what? It's got 2 offers on it. So if you're pricing right, even after 14 days, buyers are taking time and spending a little more time being picky. The challenge is that a lot of buyers are being picky at the same time, and then they all jump on the same home 14 days in, and then they go into multiple offers. But the difference is they're not paying $150,000 over list price. They might be paying 25. Mm-hmm. They might be paying. In fact, I had one that had multiple offers at 1.1 million. We stuck with our offer at 1.1. Guess what? We got it.
So here's the data. Here's the data.
You got it.
Median home price sale in April was 460. In May, it was 465. In June, it was 482. In July, it took a massive dump to 480. It went from 482 to 480. So you tell me, is it significant? Is that statistically significant? No, it's not. $2,000 over the course. No.
So they're still looking at the pictures online before they decide to put in an offer. Right? You're not having people that are just like, house, yes, do it. Like I didn't really have too much of that. There were a few.
Yeah.
Is it a house? Does it have all the walls? Let's do it.
Yeah. Does it have all 4 walls? Yeah. I mean, I did a cell phone video today for a client in my neighborhood looking at an off market property. So, and that's the other thing that these data numbers don't show is the off market stuff. I mean, I sold a house in San Antonio for 3.8 million off market. So we got a $200,000 under what they were going to list it for. So you're welcome. Back to this. I like this question right here. I'm going to keep talking about that one because that was a fun one. It took 4 months to close. All right. I went 12% over list price for a home in Avery Ranch with cash. Seller didn't accept offer. So yes, his previous question was asking about Avery Ranch. Yes. It's close to Austin. Great area. I've put it in a lot of videos. Great area to buy.
So the problem, the concern with this question or this situation is that you don't know if they listed it well at the right price. So just because it's 12% over list doesn't mean it was accurate and accurately priced home or based on comps.
Yeah, I wonder, did it end up going to multiple offers? Did they accept another offer? Right. Did they not take an offer? Because
there are some people that will list it well under. So we saw one a couple days ago or yesterday where it was listed like 50,000 under, or 20, 25, 30,000 under, just to go get a bunch of people interested in it.
I think you'll see numbers lower in January, but you won't in February because you got to understand the January's numbers are December sales, right? So the numbers that come out for December and January, the number that come out for December and January will not reflect January's actual sales, but February will. You'll get the stats out in January for January. January, I think. When you look at the numbers for January, you're going to be surprised at how much it actually goes up.
I'm just going to say, stop using the term price drops. Like, stop using the idea that prices are going to drop significantly. And if you're trying to time month to month to try to hit these prices, I think you're missing the point. Like, you're not flipping. This isn't like a buy and sell on a stock market. You're not holding onto a house for 1 month. You shouldn't be. You want to pay capital gains on that too in that time frame? Like, again, whether you buy now or whether you buy next summer within the band of pricing availability, if you're holding this home for 5, 10, 20, 30 years, it doesn't matter. You're building equity during that time too. So you're actually missing out on a lot of stuff. If the question that you're asking that is that you're waiting to buy because of these reasons, you're missing out on every level. You're missing out because the price of the house is going to go up. The interest rate might go up. You would have missed out on the opportunity to build even months worth of more equity, and the months of equity that you aren't even building, you're probably renting. So now you're spending that money doubly against your equity and wasting it on rent. So point is, if you're going to be buying, waiting for something to significantly shift, I don't think is a great idea.
I agree with you, Kevin, especially because the cost of wait, like you're saying, the cost of waiting with the equity, like the mass amount of appreciation people earned in their homes this last year was nuts. It's like a lot of people earn 20% equity in their home and they appreciated. So like last year, if you're looking to buy a $500,000 home, it was like, no, I'm going to wait. And if you think about it, now it's gained 20% equity. Well, now that $500,000 home is worth $600,000. So now you can't even buy the same level of home. You're going to have to buy a home that might be like a downgrade from what you're looking at. And, and you might not even be happy with that. Right. So you have to think about it that way too, is with the appreciation and the equity, you're missing out, but also where's that going to put you as far as the type of home you want to buy when the time comes, if you've taken yourself out and putting yourself back in.
Yep. I saw some numbers through this, I think they're a real estate company, but they put out an article. I'm trying to find it. And it was talking about the increase from Q1 2020 to the increase of 2021. And they were going through all the zip codes, and on average is about 35% increase. And so this guy, I'm responding to this reventure in one of their things. And I said, well, if people would have listened to you in early 2020 with the same information, some people wouldn't have seen 50% increase in the price of their home. Now, he instantly said, oh, well, this is why you don't, that's crazy. This is why you don't listen to realtors. Okay. And then in that video or on the comments, I linked the article where it showed my zip code 78739 saw 53% increase in prices. And Wimberley, the city of Wimberley saw 63% increases, but on average was 35, 38, 40% increases. So I wasn't lying. I have the data right there, but you shouldn't listen to me, right? Because, you know, I just say things that on my butt. I don't back it up with actual data. Nice try, guy. Nice try. Nice try. Anyway, sorry.
Wait for his rebuttal.
Got under my skin.
He's gonna make
he's gonna rebut. Somebody's gonna send this to him.
Good.
He's gonna get all butthurt. Yeah, I'll send it to him. He's gonna get all butthurt. In fact, I saw another video of this other guy. I mean, he's only got like 600 subs. In fact, where's my Master Jedi? Master Jedi guy actually sent me one of his videos, and I saw this other video. And the video was talking about, he was rebutting all of the data points that Reventure had given out. And what he was saying in the video was basically what I've been saying for a long time. And this guy's like buying up land. He's like working with developers, buying up tons of land. And even he was like, this guy's insane. He's like, I invited this guy to have a conversation and he dissed me or whatever. In his video, he said that. So I doubt he'll come on. We'll open invite to come on to REALMigos. There you go.
Mm-hmm. Welcome to the hot seat.
Yeah.
The
he won't, because he won't. I'm going to keep saying this because maybe it'll nudge him into actually coming on, but he's too scared to come on this channel.
We should go seek out controversial real estate figures and invite them to come on and just
yeah.
We should have what's the name of that guy? The guy that acts like he's super wealthy all the time, and he probably is, but I'm tired of hearing about it. Grant Stevens.
Graham Stephan.
Graham Stephan.
You said acts like he's super wealthy all the time.
I mean, he doesn't act like, I'm sure he is, but it's all he talks about. It's all he talks about.
Yeah.
How much money he has.
I think Graham puts out some interesting videos.
Yeah, I'd like to have him on here.
Well, I doubt. I mean, 9,000 subs. What is he at? Like a bazillion. So I mean, yeah,
probably 200 something thousand at this point.
Yeah.
Nah, it's gotta be more than that. It's gotta be more than that.
You're not really going to bed? You just came to say hi?
Yeah.
Aww. Can you say hi to Sarah?
Hello. Hi, Brayden.
Okay.
What's up, Brayden?
I'm still on the podcast. Okay. All right. Love you. All right.
Like, why are these people all wearing glasses?
It's probably
weird.
Yeah.
I kind of like it. It's become our thing.
Oh man, meet Kevin. Oh
no.
Who's Meet? Oh, Meet Kevin.
Yeah, that's a whole other level.
Yeah.
That guy puts out 5 videos a day.
While
he's running for governor.
Yeah. I'm gonna leave Meet Kevin alone. All right. Don't sweat it, Jeremy. Thanks. All right. Well, we're at an hour and a half in. Any good questions you have? We're gonna spend the next 10 minutes answering all your amazing questions. Don't forget to ask Sarah all your hard-hitting lender questions. We're going to give this about 10 minutes, and we're going to try to answer all these questions. So throw in questions about neighborhoods, rates, all that good stuff. I'm sure Master Jedi is going to throw in a bunch of questions about buying weed in Bastrop, because that's where you can buy it now. And then on top of that, don't forget at the beginning of the video, I did ask for donations for, did I take it down on here? I did. Donations for the family of Jason Harriman, who was part of our brokerage, who passed away yesterday. So I did way back. In fact, do I have it still? I put there you go.
You know what you can do? You can pin that comment to the top too.
Okay.
GoFundMe.
Pin user in timeout. Oh, that's not me. I pinned myself. So if you wouldn't mind, everything donated in the super chat today is going to their family. I will send them every single dollar. I am going to send them also everything that I've made this month on YouTube, just so you can all see the wonderful analytics in the back end of my channel. It's a total of $378 for everybody that thinks I make millions of dollars on YouTube. Here's the actual numbers. $378. So we'll add that in with everything made tonight, and we'll donate to his family and his 2 young boys. So there you go. All right. Drop in the questions. Let's see what you got. Good movie. Okay. Good movie. Don't sweat it, Jeremy. Graham and his friends have a monopoly on YouTube finance.
Very much.
Yeah, there's some other good people out there. There's also some good people out there. I've seen some good stuff. Any experience with bank statement mortgage? Ooh, I just had one.
Yep. I definitely do. Those are things that I do. So with bank statement mortgages, how they work is that we calculate income based off the cash flow of your bank statements, and we don't look at tax returns. So if you're the type of business owner where your tax returns look like you make nothing, then a bank statement loan is probably for you.
And you do.
You can do 12 months or 24 months typically with those programs, and the interest rates are usually higher. You can do a 30-year fix. They don't have to be ARMs. And you do have, your typical credit score requirements and debt to income and things like that. But just expect a little bit higher interest rate. You can still do 30-year, and it's a good option for someone that shows very low income on their tax returns.
Yeah.
I like this
All right.
question too.
Which one? Dinosaur D's question?
Yeah.
Hey, Kevin, do me a favor. Show your mullet for Dinosaur D real quick. There we go. Yeah, there it is.
There we go.
There it is. That's all Dinosaur D came for today is the mullet.
Yeah.
When will we get back to a time when you actually be able to choose your finishings on new builds? That time is coming as we speak. Now, it depends on the builder because some builders are still trying to hang on to this bid system. There's 3 that I know of particularly. Yeah, but we will see more of this happening towards the end of the year. And that's the video I put out on Tuesday. I talked about that. Wait to the end of the year because you will see a lot more of those to be built and you'll get a lot better incentives towards the end of the year. What do you guys think? Anybody? Sarah?
I have a couple folks that just went under contract on new construction that are able to pick some things out of the design studio. So I'm happy for them.
That's awesome.
I'm going to say the mass market of builders will probably go back to the way they used to do business before the end of 2022. Many of them, some of them merged or there were acquisitions or something, like Lennar is just buying up everybody, right? And then they just merged it all into one company, and then they're like, nobody can pick anything. I'm like, what? So if I don't know if they'll ever go back, but I'd imagine a lot of them will start to have to offer that because that's what people have wanted. A lot of people have wanted.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope they do. I would like to see. I mean, I don't want it. I don't want our market to be normal like this. Do you think that we want this? We don't want this. Do you realize how much collectively all of us have worked more so for the same amount of return that we've done in previous years? Like I know that I have, and every person I've talked to. Listen, some of my closest friends in real estate that do very well for themselves at the beginning of all this are like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can show houses for 40 hours in a weekend and then have all of my offers go by the wayside. So yeah, I'd like for my clients to be able to walk in to a builder and choose a lot and pick their finishes and negotiate a little bit, but maybe not everything. So yeah, I'm actually welcoming that. Well, I don't know that we'll see it so fast. But I think by the spring, I think we'll see some of that normalcy, but just with higher prices.
Yep. Eric, we do this show. We used to do this show weekly on Tuesdays. We are now shifted things around to Thursdays. We all had a crazy summer, primarily me. My son had all-star baseball, and then I went out of town 3 weeks in a row for different events. Ian and I got to ring the bell at the stock market at the New York, what was it? The NASDAQ. That was fun.
NASDAQ.
Yeah, NASDAQ. So yes, we should go back to weekly Thursday nights, 7 p.m. Are you able to discuss anything about zero cost refinancing or even negative cost refi, and when the refi and when is refi worth doing? It's a good question.
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of confusion because I know that there's a lot, like if we own a house, we get all of those mailers, right? Like all the advertisements that advertise zero cost refinancing, or you can get this low rate, but then there's always the fine print. I mean, it's like clickbait, but mail, right? It's just it's teaser stuff to get you in the door. So usually when someone says zero cost refinancing, what it really means is that they're just rolling those costs into your loan. So it's zero cost to you at closing. It doesn't mean like there's no cost associated with your refinance whatsoever. You're always going to have like mandatory costs, especially with the title company, to get your loan done. So, thank you, Stephen. But so, I mean, if you're looking at zero cost refinance, what that typically means is that you're rolling all those costs into your loan. And then as far as when does a refinance make sense, that is something that is going to be case by case basis with depending on what your goals are with that property and what type of property it is. So, is your goal paying off your house more quickly and lowering your term with refinancing? So you're okay with slightly higher monthly payment to make that happen? Are you looking to lower your monthly payment, have more cash flow so you can invest and put your money elsewhere? I mean, that's going to be a one-on-one conversation. Obviously, if you refinance and your rates higher or the same, that won't make sense to do. But I would say definitely if you're thinking about it, get with a mortgage professional so you can talk about that to make sure that refinancing makes sense for you.
Roger that. All right. All right. So do you think, can't say that word, do you think there will be another state closure? If so, will that cause prices to jump again? It's very, I hope not. I actually hope not.
I think it could.
Well, I hope that we don't have closures again, but
I don't know that prices would jump, but I'm with you, Jeremy. I think that I don't want them to do it, but if we do it, it's just going to drag this out longer.
You're going to see, I mean, we're at 0.9 months inventory now, thankfully, and that's just going to crash back down. I mean, God, I don't want that. Okay. Sitterly. Yep. I've had a good experience with Sitterly. I'm sure you guys have too. Let's see. What is this? G Homes. After completing a duplex rehab, I want to refi and rent. What are rental property loan rates looking like? What is underwriting? You read the rest of that. I can't even read anymore.
What's underwriting?
Do I need tenants immediately before applying?
Okay, so there's a couple parts to this. So as far as what are rental property loan rates, so what goes into that is going to be what your credit score is, what your loan to value is, since you're refinancing, and also because it's a duplex does have higher interest rates than a single family home. And since it's an investment property, that also has slightly higher interest rates than a single family home. I know right now, if you're looking to refinance a single family home investment property and you have excellent credit, you're looking at something in the 3s for a 30-year, but I can't tell you exactly what that would be for a duplex. I'm guessing I would need the rest of the information, but I'm guessing it would probably be something to the mid to high 3s. Probably low 4s if you have not great credit. As far as does that need to be rented out to refinance? It does not. But we would need to, it depends on your debt to income. If you needed that rental income to qualify for the refinance, then if you have other properties, then we can just do it based off a rental schedule on the appraisal. Sorry if I'm getting too deep on this. But yeah.
I was going to ask: is he planning to occupy one of the units?
One of the sides.
Yeah, one of the sides.
That's a good question.
Factor.
Yeah, if you can respond back, if you are planning on occupying on one of the sides, that can help tremendously with rate and everything else and the type of refinance you're able to do. How do you calculate for investment properties? So to calculate DTI for investment properties, it's going to be the same as we calculate debt to income for anything. So it's just going to be your current housing expense plus the potential housing expense for the investment, which is the monthly payment with taxes and insurance, and then your monthly debts. So whatever your minimum monthly payments are for that show up on your credit report. And we can usually do one of two things. We try to qualify you off of that. If you need rental income to help qualify and get that DTI down, we can do that, but only if you have a history of owning rental properties, or if you have a lease in hand that we're able to use, a current 12-month lease.
All sounds good. All sounds good. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't hear any of what you said. I was reading comments. I was told I absorbed it through osmosis, I think.
Yeah.
I was told 4.5 on a bank statement mortgage, 740 credit score with the option to buy down the rate all the way to 3.5, 1 point for 0.5%, 20% down payment. Is that a good rate?
So
doesn't sound that great to me. Is that an investment?
Ahmad,
is that investment? If that's investment, it sounds good to me.
If that's an investment property bank statement, I would say that that's a good rate.
Bank statement. I missed the bank statement part. My bad.
Yeah. So with the bank statement, it is going to be higher. But again, you can do bank statement for primary or investment. So if it's a bank statement for an investment, I would say that that's a good rate. If it's a bank statement for a primary, I mean, that does sound in the realm of what you'd be looking at. I would need to personally price it out to let you know.
No,
not an investment. I mean, it's very possible that that's what you're seeing. I don't think that that's high for a bank statement.
Sarah used to live in the Lake Travis area. So Lake Travis versus Leander for schools. Does Leander have room to grow?
Oh, it has so much room to grow.
Yes, so much. Well, it depends on what you mean room to grow.
Right.
Do the schools have room to grow?
Yes.
Or does the city have room to grow? Yes, the city has room to grow. Lake Travis doesn't have as much room to grow.
Right.
I don't think Lake Travis has any room to grow, and they're crazy overcrowded. I still have family that lives there and that have children in that school district. So I feel like I'm validated in saying this. But like the high school just like took over the old high school, which was the middle school several years ago. And there's no place for it to go. They haven't built another one or expanded upon it. So I'm really interested to see how they fix that solution moving forward. But
yeah,
I looked at a house potentially to buy for myself, Sarah, in Lake Travis, and I was looking at the schools, and I was comparing it to Dripping Springs because I kind of want to get out of Circle C. Mm-hmm. What do you think? Because you live in Dripping Springs now, mm-hmm. right? And you've gone to school in Lake Travis. In your opinion, between Lake Travis and Dripping Springs, now that your kids go there, what's your opinion between the two?
So not to offend anyone that's in any school in the Lake Travis school district at all. Like I said, I have family members in that school district and friends, but personally, I just feel that the Dripping Springs school district, we chose it for our children because I prefer it because they have smaller class sizes and I feel like they can offer more. The Lake Travis school district is just incredibly overcrowded. And I just feel that there's a lot of politics involved. I'm sure that's with any school district, but there's just a lot of inner workings involved there that I just think it's overcrowded. And I just think the Dripping Springs School District has done such a great job with expanding earlier to help mitigate all the people coming in so they can keep the smaller class sizes and keep like a really good attention on like advanced learning and becoming good little people and things like that, especially in the elementary area. I feel like Dripping Springs is where Lake Travis was maybe 20 years ago, like as far as expansion and building and things like that, which is why I liked it. And that was
okay.
Good.
Fair. So to answer the question, Lake Travis versus Leander schools, I would go to gradeschools.com. I would go to niche.com and look at both of those. I have lots of clients that have bought in both schools. Sarah just gave you a very good breakdown of what she's seeing in Lake Travis. I think Leander, Google Leander, there's been a lot of stuff in the headlines about Leander in the last couple months. So just Google Leander and you You do your own research there. I don't want to get into the politics there. All right. So, Kevin, which is a better growth opportunity, Round Rock or Pflugerville?
You're muted.
Son of a gun. I've been talking this whole time. I kind of see them as honestly very similar in regards to that. I've seen and heard of a lot of people moving to Pflugerville lately and choosing it over Round Rock. I don't know. I mean, I think we're splitting hairs. Personally, feel like we're splitting hairs at that point, and it comes down to the parts of the area that you like. Because I wouldn't say that any one of them is like I don't identify Round Rock as any one type of home or area or place. There's like so many different sub areas of Round Rock and even Pflugerville that are just completely different in look and feel. As far as like growth opportunities, I'd say Pflugerville. I think Pflugerville first, and then Round Rock maybe second. I can see our city growing around the area around Pflugerville first because it's closer to Tesla, and then once that area fills in between Pflugerville and Manor, then I can see it starting to shift up around the Round Rock area and then up to Georgetown.
I'm curious to get Ian's response on this, and then I want to respond too.
Yeah, I would say that Round Rock is definitely much more developed downtown in all the areas. If you look at Pflugerville on the map, it's still a couple little cement areas and then mostly cows. Like it's there's a lot of green out there. There's a few subdivisions here and there, but there's a lot of green and a lot of room to grow. However, the question is, which has a better growth opportunity? Are you talking about equity increase? Are you talking about number of houses being built, right? So there's a lot more room to put houses on the ground in Pflugerville right now. I think that'll come with a higher tax rate, though. You didn't hear that from me.
So I agree. The biggest potential is probably Pflugerville because in my opinion, Round Rock is a little overrated because it is already a big city. If you look at the stats numbers, they always come out Austin, Round Rock, MSA. So they're already pricing in Round Rock. So I think that you're going to see bigger growth in Pflugerville over Round Rock, and you're going to be able to ride that price train up a little bit more because I think the prices already are a little higher in Round Rock. But Ian nailed it when he said that tax rates are high. So be careful. Tax rates, 3%. They're going to eat up your investment potential. Yeah. Great question here.
Hundreds of dollars a month right now.
Hundreds of dollars a month. I mean, you could buy a more expensive home with a lower tax rate than you would with a lower home with a higher tax rate, or about the same. It's a wash. I bought a house on the outskirts. I would like to buy a house closer to the city and turn the house I have into a rental. Is there a certain amount of time I have to hold the first home for? Mortgage fraud alert.
He's asking.
I know. I'm just kidding.
I'm so glad you're asking. So when you sign your documentation, when you buy a primary residence, when you sign all your closing paperwork, it actually says in there that you agree to live in the home for 12 months. So, I mean, technically, you know, if there's a life event and that happens, like if you change jobs and something requires you to move, you know, that happens. No one's going to penalize you for that. But if you have the intent of, you know, that of not being in the home, then that's a different story. So really, if your intent is to convert the home that you just bought as a primary into a rental, then I recommend 12 months to stay in there until you make that switch to prevent fraud.
Well, and then there's the capital gains if you end up, you know, if you're not in it for 2 years or whatever, of 2 of the 5 years.
But that's only if you sell it, though.
Yeah, right.
So
if you end up selling it later.
If you don't sell it, I actually recommend that people do this anyway. Instead of like selling these homes and then or buying an investment property, like buying a home and then buying another investment property. If you buy your next home as your primary residence, and you know me, the closer to the center of Austin you can get, the better for many reasons. But that's what I would recommend that you do anyway. And then you move that home that you're in to your rental pool. Then also it's doubly awesome because now you're in a 1031 exchange pool down the road. So you potentially would never pay gains on that until you die, and then they get death tax and all that stuff. But hopefully that's not around. But
that's gone up.
Yeah, but anyways, but that's my recommendation is like instead of buying new investment properties, if you're going to stay in that area, buy your new primary residence, get the better deal on it, stay in it, move it to the rental pool, and then you never pay tax on any of it, theoretically.
So, no, I mean, honestly, Master Jedi, that's a great question. And people ask me that. It's like, who's going to know? I will say this, if you go...
They're never going to know. They're never going to know. They're going to know.
Find you, okay? They will find you.
But
documents.
But really, though, if you do go for financing for another property, especially after everything that happened in 2020, underwriters were taking even more of a special eye on this. And then also because Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, they started, I don't know if y'all remember this, but they started limiting the amount of purchases that they're buying of rental properties and second homes, of investment properties. So because Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are buying less as an investor of investment properties, that means mortgage companies, a lot of banks and mortgage companies stopped doing financing for investment properties or made their guidelines more strict. And underwriters are looking at this even harder. So that's where you'll see it. And they'll look at it and be like, no, I don't believe you. Like this doesn't look right. And they might not do the loan. So that is something that's come up more now, that Fannie and Freddie are taking a really hard look at these when they're buying them and can choose not to buy them, and then they're negative on these lenders' books.
There you go. What areas in Austin have the highest rental potential, please? Assad has asked us 3 times.
It's also, but it's a relative number, right? It's like this is something I'm still working on this deal actually, where you have to compare the cost of owning the house within your budget, the cost of owning the house minus taxes and HOA costs as well. So if you're just looking strictly for number of return, it depends on your budget, right? Because you can't just give the best rental rates, because technically the best rental rates are downtown on very small things. Like the 70 Rainey building, I saw a unit getting $6 a square foot rental. So technically that's the best return.
That's
honestly,
crazy.
That beats the return at any that 400,000 or 450. I think it was 450 because it was like a 600 square foot deal. But that beats the return on any other single family home that you could have bought in the metro area.
This Jeremy guy is pretty freaking funny. Hey, I'm Mr. Jedi. I'm working at BlackRock buying all the Bastrop homes. That guy's hysterical. I mean, look, the best areas to buy in, that's it. All these prices have gone up so drastically in the last year. It's hard to say. I'm always going to hang my hat on South Austin. I think South Austin, Southeast Austin, Southwest Austin. I mean, if you want to pick from one of those 3, depending on your price point, you can go from $3 million all the way down to hopefully $350. So it just depends on what you want, but I'm always going to hang my hat on there. I've done a whole video on investing and where to invest. North Austin near HP, there's a few neighborhoods right there. I'd jump in there. In fact, I've had investors that I've worked with buying there too. So that's my thought. Ian,
I also say buy what you like, by the way. That's the last thing I'll say.
That right there. That's a big one, right? Because if you're moving into it and that becomes your investment, or or if it's for a different purpose, like short-term rental or something like that, or multifamily, all of those are factors.
Yeah. Sarah, what's your last words?
Well, honestly, if you have more questions, feel free to reach out. I was happy to be a part of the Fab Four again. So it was nice being on with everyone tonight. I missed y'all. And yeah, I mean, I would say right now, there's no crash. There's no bubble coming. And if you want to buy, I recommend buying now, because the cost of waiting is not fun.
The cost of waiting is not. Can I make that into a shirt?
Yeah, you should make that. That's actually not okay. Cost of waiting is
I know
not,
that's not bad. That's really good.
Damn, I should make that. And
It's
then,
dude,
cost of waiting is, what did you say? The cost of waiting is not fun?
Yeah.
And then real broker underneath it. Boom.
Yeah, real REAX.
Yeah.
Do I get royalties on that?
We'll see. Well, if we put a REALMigos logo on it, sure. And then we'll actually put a little hyphen, Sarah Morris, Sarah White, whatever. What is your last name, by the way? Morris White.
Yeah, so my last name is Morris. Like my legal last name is Morris.
Yeah.
My married name is White, but I never legally changed it because with my licensing and everything else, you know how a pain that is. Like it just didn't make sense to do. So like,
well, Ian's is Williams, but his real last name is Pennington III. So
see, just like that.
Kevin, what's the last words, man?
I mean, I'd say don't listen to the fear mongers. Like, you know, just keep your eye on things. And if you want to invest. And if you want to buy. If you want to sell. And don't overanalyze the situation. You know, you're missing out on opportunities by overanalyzing what the data and some people, the naysayers, are telling you to do. So trust your gut, do what's right for you, do what's right for your family. And, you know, don't be afraid to make some big decisions.
Ian, what's the last word, man?
I think I just want to echo everyone else. Don't hesitate if you need to buy a house or want to buy a house. Right now, there are opportunities more so than the last few months. So take advantage of them, and you know, don't let the fear get to you.
My last words are: y'all have been amazing. If you are going to buy a home or thinking about buying a home, I would recommend don't make your plan to see huge returns in 2 years. So what I mean is make sure you're holding for many years. And earlier, Kevin said move in, and we did that whole move closer to town. And somebody had the question about, you know, turning their house into an investment. The best thing you can do is if you're going to buy a home, live in it for a few years, rent it out and buy a new home. It's the best money-making thing. I've done that. It's amazing. So if you can put yourself in that position, do that, but don't put yourself in a bad position. Make sure, don't ever put yourself in a bad position. And if you have a realtor telling you you're about to put yourself in a bad position, you should probably listen to them. All right. That's it. Have a good one.